Hey, Rex, what'd you think?
I took lots of notes.
Me too.
I did take lots of notes. That was there were so many things you said that resonated and really I could identify with, or I've had situations like that. That was, and the things you were saying were really, really, I thought were amazing and really well put. I think it's, I guess I want to start off and say, I think it's amazing that you're doing this to help people respond better to friends or family who are coming to them with these kind of issues, because it is, there is an inclination of like, well, you just need to leave that person or whatever. But I think you're, it's so much better if we can just, like you said, leap, listen, empathize, affirm, and have a perspective. I'm so overloaded. There were so many things I want to say, and I took a lot of notes. So I don't know.
I get it. I love this thing I read here, Dave, Bill, that you said to say that everyone with a marital problem should go to a therapist is self-serving and naive. It just won't happen. So there's still a reluctance to go to marriage therapy. And sometimes you can't even find someone who's available.
That's right. And also, if we get good help from our friends, maybe we don't need therapy at some point, it is, experts we can think, and professionals can think that we are the solution. And in fact, we're kind of like the referrals from a community. I taught physicians for a long time, and physicians always think when they walk into the exam room is act one, scene one. No, it's actually in the middle of the second act, because they've been talking to their family members about their symptoms and their uncle so-and-so who took the same pills, and everybody's been on the internet. And there's all this, and then you should see the doctor for it. Okay, I'll finally see the doctor. So, but there's all this stuff that has gone on in the family and among friends, usually before somebody goes to see the doctor. And the smart doctors know that. They will ask a young mother, for example, so what does your mother think about this? Okay. What does grandma think about this? So, so there are health responders, if you will, people who, and it's the same thing with our relationships. And sometimes, and that happens outside of any professional relationship.
Mm. Okay, Bill, I've got a question for you. If you've got a minute, I got a question for you. So this is, and I learned this kind of early on, maybe it was college, maybe it was Alan Hawkins, right? I took his class. We love Alan. So this was the counsel, and it was don't share any of your marital problems, right, with family members, because they remember them forever. And whereas you may forget them. So it's more of the, keep the marriage, keep your struggles and stuff to yourself, outside of abusive type stuff. So how do you respond to that? Is there a kind of a line there as far as, who's a trusted marital, first responder versus, man, don't share all this stuff to your family, then they look at them differently and judge all that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's what Liz said. Be really selective. Be really selective about who you open up with, and the top marital first responders, the top confidants are women friends, and that's true for women and men. Men open up as much to women as to men. And so friends are a little safer because they're not at all the family birthday parties. And if it's going to be a family member, maybe a sibling or somebody you really trust, who likes your spouse, but don't do it with family, like in front of a group. Yeah, so Liz, your point about carefully choosing, I think, is really important.
Oh. So privately.
Yeah.
I'm glad Dave brought that up.
We need each other.
Say that, Rex.
We need each other.
I'm very happy Dave brought that up, because that is advice that somebody gave me before I got married to my wife, was don't share anything with family. And I'm like, that's actually really smart, but it does complicate it to the sense of like, well, then who do I share it with? Where do I find a person to share it with? And that was actually something I learned early on in my marriage, is that the first year or two is not the easiest of marriage. And we wanted to see counselors, but we had different ideas who we wanted to see and who we wanted to trust. And I'm actually glad we both were so picky, because we finally found a really good resource that helped us learn to communicate better. but it is challenging to find who who can you trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can feel very lonely, right? It can feel very lonely. For marriage therapists are the same way. It's like, I should probably have the answers to this, and I don't. I have blind spots. So I just think it's excellent. Bill, good for you for doing this boot camp. And can people do it online yet?
Not yet, but we will after October. We will after October.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have the 3 cameras and the whole thing. Yeah, and I also want to say the workshop is a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of laughter. Like early on, we have people tell a story of something that didn't go so well, or what's your biggest challenge? We have these categories like, where do you veer off when you're not doing your best? Like, are you Mr. or Miss Fix It? Are you what were some of the others? Pollyanna? Oh, you love each other. You have such a great marriage. We have about 10 things. Yeah, 10 categories. And then we ask people to self-assess. Okay, which one or ones do you tend to revert to when you're not at your best?
Oh,
I mean, for me, you can imagine know-it-all. I mean,
Yep.
because I do know it all.
Yeah.
You understand, right?
Yeah.
And so if I'm not on my game, I'm apt to say, wow, there's a classic pursuer-distancer pattern going on there. That's not terribly helpful, okay? Particularly if that's the first thing out of my mouth. And so anyway, there's a lot of humility in this, a lot of humility. And when people practice the skills on those things, those common marital complaints, everybody is just aware how often they have heard it and felt it, those common complaints.
It's great to meet a fellow know-it-all, Bill.
Yeah, there aren't many of us, Rex, who are willing to admit it,
Yes.
Yeah.
One word you used, Bill, I thought was really, really good is corrosive.
Yeah.
Because, constant complaining or griping and is corrosive, and it builds a mental a mindset that the marriage is doomed or the relationship is doomed. I like to use that word. I remember in the last episode we recorded with you, you used the word committed. Mm-hmm. That is so important, I think, in a marriage, is like, regardless of whatever's happening, focus on the commitment. And then I think if you're committed, you can work it out, whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah. There was a family text that came through yesterday. It was Father's Day. And it was some reproduction of I can't remember how it went, but it was kind of a put down to men, right? That all men do this, and all the cousins were responding, and I just was like, I can't relate to that, and I didn't know what to say. I was pretty gutless, and I'm sad to say I just put a heart, but with no words. It was kind of nice to be included, but I didn't I didn't agree, right, with the put down of men. So cowardly I was. But in a group setting, gosh, I sure would. It's Elizabeth who said that one line. If our husbands were listening in,
groups are hard. Say. And so we're really clear in marital first responders training that it's for one-to-one. And it's not to be talking to a couple. So that's something to be clear. We're not expecting regular folks to sit down with the couple. That is a big, tall order. Okay. You're right. But one-to-one. But the group skills is something it's part of what I'm going to take as some encouragement to work on from our conversation here is what are some graceful ways to dissent from the group norm about the other sex that doesn't put you one up, isn't just critical
right
of the other side.
Yep.
So I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah. It feels like it happens a lot more than that we realize. There's just this little bashing or these groups, and what do I say? Do I not say anything? Yeah, you don't want to come out holier than thou. I'm not going to participate in this group anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
In my work with Braver Angels on depolarizing the politics of our country, there's a workshop called Depolarizing Within. And that is, how do I recognize my own tendency to do what I call the 4 horsemen of polarization, echoing John Gottman, and that is stereotyping, dismissing, ridiculing, and contempt. Actually, that kind of fits the gender thing, doesn't it? Stereotyping, dismissing, ridiculing, and contempt for, in the politics, 70 million people who are dumb enough to vote differently than I do. But here in our conversation, it's the other gender. Women are like that. Men are like that. And then how to self-assess my own inner polarizer. Okay, when I dismiss, when I ridicule, and so on. And then the skills are how to intervene in conversations individually or in groups when somebody is engaging in stereotyping, dismissing, ridiculing, contempt for all those people. And so we actually have some skills for that some of them might be able to be adaptable here. Like one of them is to say, in my experience, not everybody thinks that way on the other side. Or in this case, it might be, I've known a lot of men or women who don't fit that.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that would be an example.
There's a lot that don't meet that. I think that's beautiful. Bill, I'm so happy for you. This really is your foundation, isn't it?
Yes.
This is a culmination of all your years as a brilliant therapist and author. You a psychologist? Are you a psychologist? I'm trying to
Yeah, and a marriage and family therapist.
And marriage and family therapist, yes, right. Oh, I think that's just so thrilling that this is out of your culmination of your good heart and soul. I'm really pleased for you. It's got to be so satisfying.
Yeah, and a chance to work with my daughter and all this is really great.
She's terrific. Yeah, well, discernment counseling and marital first responders, I just am so pleased.
Yeah, thanks again, Bill. We sure appreciate your time.
Well, and thanks for the opportunity. And God, you guys build me up so much. I'll have to find somebody in my family to bring me back down to life here.
Stay on the line, Bill. I'll bring you back.
I'm getting Rex off the screen now.
Rex will do it.
Bill, it's been great having you on.
Please take care. Have a
Thank
good
you.
summer.
Great to be with you.
So much you've said in these last few shows has really stuck with me.
Yeah.
That means a lot because these two, Rex, they have to say that stuff.
No.
Well, these are you have high ratings. You have
Honesty.
high ratings, so the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Honesty is my only excuse.
Now, I'm always actually, just last comment, I'm always particularly pleased when somebody behind the scenes, when I'm giving a talk, the camera person, whatever, says to me afterwards, I really like that because, they don't have to.
It means a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Brilliant.
Okay. Take
Bye,
care,
my
everybody.
friend. Happy summer, Bill.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today. Hey, do us a favor and take a few minutes to subscribe to our podcast and the Utah Marriage Commission YouTube channel, where you can watch this and every episode of the show. When you hit the like button and leave a comment, your feedback helps us improve the show. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend. You can also follow and connect with us on Instagram at Stronger Marriage Life and on Facebook at Stronger Marriage. Be sure to share with us what topics you want us to explore or what you loved about today's episode. If you want even more resources to improve your relationship connection, visit our website at strongermarriage.org, where you'll find free workshops, webinars, relationship surveys, and more. Each episode of Stronger Marriage Connection is hosted and sponsored by the Utah Marriage Commission at Utah State University. And finally, a big thanks to our producers Rex Polanis and Alexis Alcott and the team at Utah State University. And you, our audience. You make this show possible. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Utah Marriage Commission.